Sets up Larsson here. Larsson, oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Well, good afternoon, guys. Welcome to Celtic Unrestricted View. My name's Alan. I'm here with my good pal Mark, and we're going to reflect on what was a massively disappointing performance and result last night. It's wet and windy outside, probably a weekend for the house, but I think after last night we're probably better kind of hiding away, hiding behind the couch anyway. So, yeah, hope everyone's well that's watching. And how are you, Mark? How you been keeping?
Aye, good. Apart from last night, but we'll get into that. But I know, good week, good to be here. Good to see the viewers as well. And it is a weekend for indoors. Storm Amy, innit? It's coming from the night and tomorrow. But what about Storm Nicholson, Law, and Mackay on Monday? The meeting that's proposed and want to go ahead on Monday about time, eh?
Most storms pass through, but I don't see that one passing through. So I think that one's probably here to stay for a wee while. But there's been obviously an agreement as well for anybody that's not seen. There's been an agreement for Celtic to meet with some of the kind of supporters groups, etc., and try and discuss this open letter that's went towards Celtic. It's not before time. I think that's kind of communication as well. This happened before last night, so obviously the planned protest was postponed until we see what happens on Monday. So it didn't do much good. But what's your thoughts on the postponement of the protest, Mark? And could you see anything kind of beneficial coming for Monday?
Yeah, well, I'm just glad it was postponed, just because it common sense for them to reach out and give the supporters the platform that they've asked for, and I think they've been reasonable enough to how they've went about it. And the last time I was on the pod, I was saying that I think that's why they kind of created that proposal, to kind of avoid having the silence, you know, and we don't want to do that. So, but needs must, and it get called off early. So we've got the opportunity on Monday. What are my hopes for it? I suppose it is dialogue. So there's got to be stuff that comes from it. So anything at all at the moment's hopefully going to help. The manager said that as well. He referred to it as that's the opportunity. Although I think he's been a wee bit coy with it all. You know, he's kind of leaving it to the board and the supporters. I think he needs to take his responsibility in with it all, you know, because I don't think he's blameless at all, far from it. So, but yeah, it can only be a good thing that we get some sort of dialogue, even if it's not what the fans want, or it'll give us more of a understanding of where we are with things and what the next move needs to be.
Yeah, definitely. There's a few comments there. Good afternoon to everyone that's tuning in. Thanks for your comments and for tuning in. It probably wouldn't have been a great thing for the team, especially that kind of 29 minutes as well. But hopefully we can get something resolved. We can get some change implemented, because as Francis said there, the amount of kind of empty seats last night, that people, there is a certain amount of people that are kind of voting with their feet. They're no paying the kind of absurd amount. It's £45 a ticket they were looking for. £45. That was. Yeah. You see Braga, and if you paid that last night, I think you'd be phoning kind of trading standards and wanting your money back. So, but we'll touch on kind of last night's game. Personally, myself, I thought we started off the first 10 minutes pretty brightly. That's probably the only positive that I'm going to get out of this. I think that we looked as if we were moving the ball a bit better, with a wee bit intent. But after that kind of 10-15 minutes, I think it just kind of went back to the kind of no energy, flat, lethargic, just no intensity. And then it comes up to kind of obviously Braga's opening goal. But what was your thought? Were you similar to myself, Mark? Did you think we made a bright start and it looked pretty decent until a certain point? What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I thought we were all right to start with. Up until the goal, we were kind of the dominant side, most of the ball. First 10-15, you mentioned earlier, Bernardo, I thought looked lively, looked as if he was involved. A couple of decent passes, forward passes, got us in the front foot. And we did look lively, but then we kind of, similar to Saturday, actually, you know, we had spells of looking better, a bit of intensity, and then it drops off. I don't know if it's a confidence thing or if it is just the new players coming in and not being able to sustain it for the full period, or just so many players being off for them that the team as a whole can't sustain this. Because I thought the beginning of the second half was all right as well, and obviously we get the goal, which was a really poor decision for it to be chopped off. So there was kind of periods where we did okay, but then the goal itself is just really, really poor to lose. So the space that the guy had, he's a known player to shoot from range. In the space that he had, there wasn't anybody within about 10 yards from him. 30 yards centrally from goal, that's really, really poor. You can't do that at any level, never mind Europa level. And then the keeping is really questionable, just with the strike, because it wasn't the top corner. It had a bit of movement, but yeah, the keeper's got to save that for me.
It wasn't enough movement for me. I know that we heard the kind of commentary, and it was Joe Hart. He's obviously good friends with Casper. He's going to stick up for the goalkeepers, but I don't think a goalkeeper at the level of Casper Schmeichel should be getting beat for that kind of distance with that kind of effort. It did move slightly, but it looked like kind of Casper could have adjusted his feet and kind of walked over and kind of just caught the ball. I think we've been saying this, and personally I've been saying it on this podcast for the last few weeks, that Casper's been a bit questionable at times. I don't think Sinisalo's done much wrong when he came in last year. He came in last year, obviously, when Casper was injured. His distribution last night was awful. It was atrocious as well. I don't know, they showed you kind of highlights of some of his distribution and the amount of times that it was kind of played to the opposition, played kind of out the park. It's just not good enough at that level. Personally, I know that there's rumours going about just now in photos that Casper might be injured, so that might mean that Sinisalo gets his opportunity on Sunday. But for me, even if Casper was fit, I think he needs a spell at the side. I think that goal he conceded in his overall performance so far this season, and especially last night, if he was an outfield player, the amount of criticism we'd get, and I think there'd be rotation for that. I think because he's a goalkeeper, sometimes you go, they're still your number one goalkeeper. I think if you put in the kind of performances, you're an outfield player, I think you're on the bench immediately. I think you're getting taken off the park. If you put in that performance, you'd be off at half time if you're an outfield player. So what's your thoughts on Casper? You think that it might be time for us to call on Sinisalo to come in? Is it time? We never thought. We thought maybe this year was still Casper's, but with the performances, do you think that it's time for Sinisalo to make that number one jersey his own?
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with the point in particular with his distribution, because I felt last night that gave them a kind of opportunity in the game that they never really had, and they kind of they picked up on it. And that in itself, you know, when we largely dominate possession, we're no troubled up to the goal. It starts giving them a wee bit of incentive and a wee bit more belief, because they are a team that are struggling at the moment as well. They're kind of mid-table in Portugal, so they're not a bad side, but that said to you earlier, actually they are the best side that we've faced this season. So again, another kind of gauge of where we are. But with regards to Casper, it was back to the cup final last year. It was a really big error. You know, that's a really poor error, and he's not looked the same since, to be honest, since he started the season. There's been kind of gaps in his performances. He's not looked that assured either. And even last night, I don't know if he went with the wrong hand or not. I don't believe he got caught with the flight of the ball or anything. I just think his positioning was poor. But the distribution is probably more of a concern, because the way that we play, the way that we build from the back, anything like that does allow teams to get in against us. And we've relatively been okay defensively. And with all this, the performances have been poor, but we've been okay defensively. And even last night we were all right, although we did change the formation and we did take the risk and we opened up a wee bit more and gave them a bit more opportunity. But again, in the first half, it was the distribution of Schmeichel and the not marking the guy for the shot in the first place that's gave them the chance to go one up.
I completely agree. Just to touch on this comment here as well, it's something I was wanting to discuss. You're looking at saying this is a standard European result. I've said repeatedly the previous 18 months or so was an anomaly. For a decade, we've been shocking in Europe, and I tend to agree to the point, but I think as Celtic fans we're looking back at the Bayern Munich game, and I think that's the turning point. I think that we look at that and we're seeing we've played pretty well in Europe that season, barring the kind of the Borussia Dortmund game. I think that we portrayed ourselves pretty well. We had some decent results, and we nearly took kind of Bayern Munich to extra time in for the last 32, wasn't it? Last 24, was something like that. Last 24. And now we just seem, since that point, we've just seemed to regress. I know this, for me, like the manager and the players need to kind of take a portion of the blame. Definitely, these performances are nowhere near good enough. But for me, it just relates back to kind of recruitment and the organisation. The hierarchy are just, it's all leading to this dysfunction that we're seeing just now. When you look, the root of the problem is kind of bad timing of the transfers, the recruitment that we've brought in. I said to you before we come on, we've brought in kind of 4 players this year. We've brought in Yamada, Anamura, Puzzi, and Osmond. Not one of them's in the squad. We're paid $2 million for Yamada. Now, these players are obviously not Brendan's choice. You're looking at Anamura, he came in pre-season and he's never to be seen. Puzzi's not even kicked the ball for Celtic yet, and he's come up to Celtic with he's highly regarded in the kind of the youth setup in England. And Osmond, right, fair enough, that might have been seen as a kind of cross-border fee, one for the future. But the likes of kind of Yamada, Anamura and Puzzi, you're looking at that it's definitely no Brendan signings. It's just so disjointed. You're looking at the fact last night as well that we paid and scouted kind of Balatwisha for a long period of time, and he doesn't even go in the park when we're desperately needing a goal. You're looking at an agent James Forrest, who's been an absolute legend, but he gets on before somebody that we're paid kind of $5 million for a new signing. So for me, yeah, last night, Kyra, the way that we've been performing all season, it definitely, part of the portion goes to the players that are underperforming, the manager that's underperforming. But I think fundamentally, the root of that issue is we've let go players for last year and no really replaced them. But see with the goals as well, and there was a stat that I read earlier as well, that we've lost 80 goals and assists to Kyogo, Jota, Kuhn and Ida. And when you look at that statistic as well, Kyogo and Jota only managed, because they transferred in and out, they only managed kind of half the season. So we've lost a high majority of kind of the goals that we put out last season. And it doesn't seem as if we've kind of replaced that creativity. We've not replaced that kind of cutting edge. We've not replaced that kind of that killer instinct. So for me, fundamentally, it starts with the hierarchy and the recruitment, but at the same time, the players and the manager don't get away with this either. I think they need to take a portion of the blame, but the high majority of the blame for me still sits with the hierarchy, the recruitment, the timing of the transfers, and just the complete kind of way the club's disjointed. You can see clearly, as the names are stated, Brendan doesn't want these players. He's not playing them. He's just basically, they're getting sent to the reserves, and they've just been brought in for money during the summer. So who is picking these players? But it's just to see what your thoughts are on that, Mark. Where does this all stem from? Because I think you need to get to the root of the problem before we obviously sort it out and kind of start improving. But for me, I look at the Bayern Munich game last year and how much we've regressed since that point to last night as being really taking Bayern Munich to extra time, and then kind of, as you say, a mid-level kind of Portuguese side beating us 2-0 at home.
Yeah, I think that is the issue, though. We don't know who's fully responsible. So obviously the board, with the recruitment policy, is questioned, and it has to be questioned, and we're looking to get answers for that in Monday. But then, yeah, just with regards to the players that we're signing that are not getting into the Europa squad, I believe that we've always done that. I believe that we've always signed players like that, like Ryan Christie's and Tom Rogics and all that didn't come in flying in the first season, Christopher Agers. So we've always done that. Brendan did speak about that when these players came in. So if that's still the policy and that's how, or is it Brendan making a point? So no bringing on Balikwisha last night, no having Yamada in the squad. Is that his message? Has he been stubborn enough to say, these signings aren't good enough for me? And if that's the case, so that's where I feel that Rodgers is playing it this way just now. He's kind of washing his hands of it all, hoping to escape, because he knows that the fans will go for the board and are going for the board. However, he's still a good manager that gets paid a lot of money to get the team in the pitch regardless of the situation. He's got enough at his disposal to get results in Europe against the teams that he's faced so far and in the league. So, and it's not happening. It's not happening at all. So that's
where... It's maybe been a perfect storm, Mark. That I seen a comment there that I put up that the recruitment's been woeful, absolutely awful this year. Like, there's no disputing that. I think that we've regressed that far with the recruitment. That's the blame of the hierarchy in the board, right? That's aside. Yeah. There's a comment that come up there that the likes of Schmeichel, Cal McGregor, Dyson Maida you can put into that, Rio Hatate, Arne Engels. All these players that maybe performed last year, I think it's maybe a perfect storm that the players that are coming in aren't getting a game, but we are relying on the players from last year, and they're not performing either. So it's this mix that we've no brought in kind of players to replace with quality players for last year, and the ones that we could rely on that we've kept a hold of for last year, they are drastically underperforming. And when you look upon it as well, how many unhappy players have we possibly got behind the scenes? Is it prudent for the Celtic board? Is it prudent for the Celtic hierarchy that we kept Tyson Maida? Yang, you're looking at kind of, is Rio kind of unhappy? Are these players that's been brought in are not getting any game time? Are they unhappy? Is this going to kind of add to the dressing room unhappiness? Is that a reason because the likes of kind of Dyson Maida might not be playing up to his optimum? He's not playing to the degree that he played last year. Is he maybe a bit pissed off that last year he was promised last year that he was going to get his move? So I think it's a kind of perfect storm of everything happening. The players that have come in, barring maybe Tanecki, Sirachi, I think are maybe not performing up to the level we've seen last year for the other players. And then the players we've seen last year, like Cal McGregor, like Tyson Maida, like Kasper Schmeichel, they're definitely not stepping up to the level that's needed either. So I think it's just a collective. I think that there's a lot of blame here. But the definite thing is that we need to get to the root of this problem and kind of find out what's wrong first, because we've got a long season ahead of us if we continue to perform in that manner.
Yeah, no, I think you're right with the perfect storm stuff, and that's where it's difficult to kind of pinpoint what's going on. If it was just the manager, if it was just the recruitment, if it was just players out of form, but it's just a combination of it all. And even going back to the kind of Schmeichel debate, I think it is really difficult to kind of single out anybody in players at the moment. Okay, you could single them all out at the moment, to be honest. But is it just a collective malaise? And why? Who is? For me, I think the manager has created this. He's seen an out. He's seen an opportunity to know that he'll not get the blame what he's going to do, what he can do this season with the resources that he's got, and that's where he's tuned out. But then, if that's the case, and the board are aware of that, then they should sack him. They should take responsibility. But then they know if they do that then they're going to be seen as more of the culprits. So it's I think there's a lot of catch-22s with the situation.
It's a delicate situation. But as well, with the overall play as well, there was something that I noticed, and I've noticed for a number of weeks. You look at our play, our strategy, our play, our purpose. Where is it? What is your plan on the park? When's the last time we have seen goals a couple of corners in the cup this year? But look at set pieces. You look at kind of teams that use kind of long throw-ins. That's a purpose. That's a strategy. You look at players, how effective they can be with free kicks, dead ball situations, corners. We don't seem to have that kind of strategy or purpose. That identity with my first team just now, it seems as if our footballs maybe became a bit stagnant. I'd say it's just slowed down, became a bit pedestrian. Whereas I think in Brendan's kind of first season and his first time around, you've seen a purpose, you've seen a strategy, you've seen a tactic, and then you look at kind of Ange Postecoglou, you definitely seen what we were aiming for there as well. Whereas now I'm watching these games and I'd seen there was sometimes last night we were playing the ball through the midfield, and then there was a lot of the times we were kind of punting the ball down the wing and looking for runners. And it was a bit disjointed and messy. I don't know if you've kind of picked up on that either. I don't see our purpose at present. I don't see what a clear, obvious plan of our football going forward.
Yeah, it is disjointed because Brendan's team have always had that kind of identity, and even at the moment they are kind of switching it up. I believe his philosophy is to have Nygren further forward in the 10 role, similar to O'Reilly's role, but it's not working out that way. What's happening is he's more apart from the midfield, isolating McGregor. And whoever's been the 8 hit at Bernardo last night are really struggling because they are predominantly kind of the left-sided 8, and they're not really kind of there's no cohesion between the three. The fullbacks only getting up the pitch, and that's part of the system as well. That's what he wants the fullbacks doing. Tierney, for fitness reasons or just forum reasons, isn't getting up the pitch at all. He did in the first game or two actually in the league. But after that, he's not really done that again. He done it Pittodrie to set up the goal and a couple of times against St Mirren. And I think that's one of the last times that he's done that. He's trying to get up, but he's not got the energy. He's not got the fitness levels. And Donovan's done well, but he's got a bit more athleticism. But when Ralston plays, it's the same. He's not getting up to support in the same way that Johnson does, and he'll be back soon, hopefully. So that's where the system is breaking down for me. There's the midfield are just far apart. It's not working. And the fullbacks aren't getting up the pitch, so that's where they're starting to go long, although they were playing a 3 last night at the back, so that's where they were trying to just file it up the wings in behind them. So I could see that as maybe just part of that strategy against Braga as such, but there isn't any kind of like cohesion or the fluency that we normally have just to kind of pepper the other team with attacks. So, and it is just personnel as well, so many players out of form. So my idea again, not great, just a wee bit more effort, but just, and he can play in the right. I know it's not his preferred position, but he's still been effective in the right many times
He
for
was
us.
coming in after wing pretty impressive the first half. I thought he was he was beating them with pace. I thought he looked more like his usual self with the amount of kind of intensity he was pressing on the game. I think when you start playing him kind of right fullback, I think you're playing him as far out of position as possible. When you look at the second half, when we went with the formation change, but you were touching on the midfield there as well, Mark, and something I was just want to ask: do you think that we have got very talented midfielders when they're on their game? I think there's 6 of them that could all come in and do a job, and I thought that was where we were most stacked. I thought that when you looked at the start of the season, I thought that's an area we maybe don't need to worry about. But the more I watch our midfield players, are they all too similar? What they all seem to kind of play in the same manner. I don't think you've got that. Like when you look back, you've not got that kind of Tom Rogic, you've not got that Matt O'Reilly. You've not got that Victor Wanyama, you've not got the type of players that are all similar, that they can all interchange and play the 6, the 8, the 10. I'm just worried that they're maybe all too similar, that we need something a wee bit different to kind of create that spark, to create that creativity, basically. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point. They're all very similar, but I watch quite a bit of football now, and it seems to be the case with most midfielders. Your number 10s and number 8s there's no such thing anymore. It's all these holding players, possession-based players, the likes of your Tom Rogic. Even Ryan Christie was a really good 10. You know, he got a lot of assists, a lot of goals. He shot a lot. I know his shooting wasn't great, but he was still getting into the positions. We don't seem to have anybody like that at all. Maybe Hatate, but he doesn't really play in the 10. But he's still definitely the most creative and most likely to take a shot. Whereas Negren's just not.
Last time, Mark, I thought he looked decent when you come on. Sorry to interrupt you. It's just
no, that's all right.
When you go it.
And I think McGregor's fine in the 6, but again, I'm finding it difficult with McGregor in the sense that when he's out of form, and it's normally when the team is struggling, and I don't know if it is getting away from him, as in his age and the time in his career, or if it is he's playing in a midfield that is so disjointed and there's big gaps in it, which is the case at the moment. And nobody's playing to form, so nobody's playing well at the moment to say, well, who can we take out here? Because he's really, really struggling. The other 2 are playing well. Everybody seems to be struggling. And again, that's where I have to go back to the manager. For the whole team, there's not been maybe Scales consistently, but even at that, that's a push to say that he's been performing well individually. So Tenetke in spells, he looks like a good sign in that respect. But the rest of the team, there's nothing. There's nothing coming from them at all. So is it the midfield that we need to sort out when our wide play, our forward play? And he actually looks like a good striker, but his movement's not good. He doesn't press. He's not got a lot of running in him. I know that might be a fitness thing as well just now. However, if the rest of the team was in form with a lot of pace and fluency, we could get away with. I kind of number 9 that held it up quite well. But these things are disjointed at the moment. So the midfield is similar to yourself. It looked like we had good options at the beginning of the season because they have different attributes. But there's no nailed down number 10. That's the one for me. The one that will shoot, create. He put Hatate in the 10 last night when he came on. That'd be right. To be a bit more offensive. And he's tried Hatate in there before, but he prefers them in the 8. So, which again, McGregor in the 6 and Hatate in 8, I think you can get away with, but it's who else just now on form? Who do we bring in? Engels is more of a industrial midfielder. He's not, I wouldn't say he's a defensive or an attacking midfielder. Does a lot of work. He's got decent attributes, good deliveries, good range of passing. But again, he's come in recently and not really made much of an impression. So, you might be right. Is it just positional? McGregor did comment on that after the game last night, actually, about the shape of the midfield and new players coming in, etc. So he must be alluding to Negren and him playing further forward. So, and taking a bit of time for that to maybe develop. But there's not much signs of it just now.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I think that it's something that we definitely need to look at. I don't think Negrin has come in and set the head of the light either. He's just arrived, so there's been some positives, but I think a lot of his performance I've been watching, I've not been entirely sure of. It's just in the door, so we give him that time. But let's go on to the kind of controversial part, and we'll speak about last night, the disallowed goal with Kalechi. I've watched it in so many different cameras, every angle that's possible that you've seen on social media, you've seen on television, you've seen last night. It looks very close to his forearm, but I don't see any angle where it actually makes contact. I don't see any angle. I think it just comes up and directly hits him in the face. Fair play to Kalechi as well. He's kind of went by the two defenders. He's took the nick off the defender, and it's quite an accomplished finish he's made as well. For the life of me, I don't know how that goal has been ruled out. We can't kind of. I'm not going to put everything on that goal, right? I said to you before we come on. Like when you look at last night, did we do enough? Did we threaten enough to kind of win that game? I'm not so sure. I think it was a very, very poor performance. We can't kind of look as if we're kind of throwing the toys at the pram because we didn't get a decision. But VAR is supposed to come in and correct these decisions, and it's kind of operating the opposite way now. So unless there's another hidden camera that shows that there's kind of a direct contact between the ball and Kalechi's arm, I have no idea why that goal was disallowed. And for the VAR point of view as well, is it supposed to be a clear and obvious error that the game is kind of stopped and took into the kind of the VAR office? So for me, I don't know your thoughts on it, Mark, but for me, I've no idea why that decision was made. It might have changed the game, it might not have, but for me, for the life of me, I don't know why that decision was made.
Yeah, I'm the same. It was baffling, to be honest. I've seen several angles. Was a factual correction? It wasn't even. It was just that's kind of overruled straight away. The manager asked last night as well. He was wondering why it didn't go to the screen for it to be checked by the referee. Because there's no angle that shows him it actually hitting his hand at all. So that's where you've got to just question it. And it was everything to the side. It was a huge moment in the game. So if we'd scored at that point, then I'm not saying it would have been on and won the match, but we'd definitely been in a better position not to lose the match. So it was huge, and it was a really frustrating decision, baffling, and it's just got me thinking. I can't remember us getting a VAR decision in Europe. Even the one at Munich last year, the penalty that was blatant. The ref went to the screen and checked it, never gave us it. The guy crushed his ankle. And then there's the Mieda one in Madrid against Athletic. We get sent off for basically blocking. That's so as well. Yep. So we've not really had the fortune. But I'm not taking anything away for the poor performance. However, it was a big moment. A great finish. It was a brilliant finish. He pounced on it. He took the two defenders out and put it away brilliantly. So it was a really good goal that we get denied as well, and testament to in actual for the finish and the quality of it. But yeah, and it did pick us up at that point, but it got ruled out bizarrely. And yeah, it's a hard one to take because we need a wee bit of luck at the moment as well. That's all teams need that. So and it didn't go our way, but yeah, could have been different, but it's not to excuse the rest of the performance.
Yeah. It's just baffling, as you said. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Unless they've got a different camera angle,
yeah,
I don't see any contact there. But who knows? It could have changed the game. They still could have won with 2 goals. Who knows? We'll never know. That's the way of life. But then, obviously, we continue to attack. There was some passages of play. I think that Taneke was probably the most threatening with him going through. but with the cutting edge of a sponge, really, I think that's probably the best way to sum it up. There was nothing really massively clear cut that you go, oh, that should have been a definite goal. So sadly, the Braga get the second goal. Dane Murray hits it, tries to clear the ball, and it hits off the Braga player and goes into the net, and that's kind of game over. So it's just it's a game we kind of need to reflect from and we need to learn from. I don't know where we go for here. I don't that was a kind of major result for you, the aspirations of kind of reaching that top 8 or even qualifying for this Europa. I think we're going to have a lot harder games coming up. I think that was one of the games that you looked upon as if we need 3 points there. So you get 0 points in that. I think we are going to struggle, but we need to be positive and look upon like there was. Who would you give? We spoke about this before we come on. Who would you give kind of pass marks to last night? Who were you impressed with, and who do you think maybe needs taken out of the team?
So I thought Tanecki was good again. The keeper made a really excellent save from him in the second half, and he done really well. And he seems to be getting into good positions, and he also does take out men when he gets in. He brings it back. He takes out guys to make the opportunities for himself. So I think he's a really good signing. And the early signs are really good, but unfortunately, it might be working in his favour at the moment with regards to his performances and how he's been looking for us. But he gets a lot of the ball because we are so one-dimensional at the moment, and we're already relying on a young new signing to kind of create what he can for us. So that's no good with regards to the team. But individually wise, no, I think he's got a good attitude as well. So he keeps rousing the crowd. I notice, but what he needs to do is put it in the top corner, and that'll rouse us better instead of just rousing us at corners and stuff like that.
Sorry, I'm interrupting again, Mark, but just you're making a great point. But see, did you see him to put the cross in for Kelechi? And Kelechi didn't make the run forward, and he's shouting at me. He's like, "Kel, what you doing? What you doing? Move in." And that shows I don't know if it's just me, but it shows a kind of a leadership values maybe for that young age. He looks as if he's the one that's shouting at them, look, you need to go and do this. I like that. I like that kind of that. It looks as if he's got that kind of leadership values about him. So on your go. It was just that that just came into my head that he was shouting and bawling and Kelechi.
I remember that. Yeah, but then that shows how he values himself and his confidence, and his appetite to create goals and get goals for the team. That he's wanting the striker to get in there and get it, and then these crosses. So I like that. It's really good. And Sirachi, somebody was saying in the comments there, I think it's been really excellent when he's come in and actually went into the midfield and was inverted in the second half, and that kind of brought to my attention as well that how McGregor operates better with an inverted player, and I think we do miss Taylor, not the player as such, but that inverted fullback that supported the midfield and comes in and does that. And I think you've seen in the second half, the first 20 minutes, that there was more balance to the game. Although we were a wee bit more suspect, we took the risk. We had more of the ball, and we did kind of get a hold of it in the midfield better because we had the extra guy. And he's a good player. He gets about. He's really athletic. He's shown more mobility and athleticism than Tierney. So he's got to really be an option for us going forward. And he's got a wee bit of dig about him as well. He's had a couple of kicks at players and stuff like that, but it's more his tenacity that's been shown. So he's been good, and possibly he could be pushing to start left back if he's going to play inverted, because that's what the team is missing, and I think McGregor is missing with the absence of Taylor. But then the full back should be getting to the byline. They should be pushing up on teams, and they both at the moment are not doing that.
No, I think you're spot on. We'll touch on Tierney in a minute, but I think when the comments as well and yourself saying about Sirachi, I think he's been outstanding, and he's just come out of nowhere. I don't think he was a target for Celtic. I think this has been it was publicised that it was an agent offered the player to Celtic who wasn't getting any game time at Braga. So I don't see this as it's not been a great signing. This has been probably lucky that we've landed upon him, which I'm happy with. but I don't think that he's been scouted. I think that we've been offered that player. We've got to the last days of the window, and it was clear that we needed kind of another left back. But he's come in, and I love his energy. I love his intensity. I think that he goes forward and attacks really, really well. I think he's solid enough at the back as well. And I thought he'd play it right back instead of Donovan. And that's not a slight on Donovan. He's a young boy. He's still coming up. He's only played a few games for the team. I think for his age, he's done exceptionally well. But you're looking at a game like last night, and you're looking at the experience that Sirachi's got. That experience, that's worth its weight in gold when you look at kind of European games. I thought he would have played it right back with Tierney there. I think Tierney's got to continue to play it left back because it's Kieran Tierney. I do believe at present that Sirachi's putting in better performances than Kieran Tierney. I think that he probably merits to, whether it be the right back or the left back position, I think Sirachi's performances that he's putting in at present, I think he merits a space in that first 11. So with Kieran Tierney, he's obviously come back. He's got the Premier League experience, Champions League experience, La Liga experience as well. We all thought we all had kind of slight reservations about his fitness, but we knew the quality that he brings. But it seems as if he's not really reaching that standard at present. As I say, it's still early doors, and I expect the quality that Tierney's got, that he will step it up a notch. I think he needs to step it up a notch because we know what he's capable of. What's your thoughts on Kieran Tierney at present, Mark?
Yeah, it's difficult because he's such a revered player, and everybody's looking forward to coming back, and his qualities, leadership qualities. But yeah, they have. I mentioned earlier about the first couple of games. He looked okay, but he's struggled since. But then the team have, and again, it's a way up of is the player himself really struggling, or is it just the malaise of the team that's impacting the players? But he's not showed the kind of the attributes he's renowned for in getting down the byline and attacking teams and having that athleticism, and he's not looked particularly great defensively, although he looked okay getting into the three last night because he's left-sided, but then he couldn't complete the match again, which is a concern, although I believe that is just part of his kind of recuperation. So yeah, but you've got Sirachi there, competition for places. I would not have hesitation in giving Sirachi a start, especially with the inverted role and the more so in the league games, because we need that because we get most of the ball. So yeah, I'd like to see that, and I don't think there could be any complaints. And with regards to anybody else coming out of the team just now, you could probably make a case for most players that we've made a case for the keeper. And I think most players at the moment could. They couldn't really have any complaints if they were to come out of the team, including the captain. But then it's
as well. I think it looks slightly shaky, and I'm usually a massive fan of him. But last night it was kind of a couple of times it looked a wee bit shaky. But I think you're spot on, Mark. I think that you could maybe take most people out of that team, and I don't think they would. Anybody would disagree. It's a worry. We'll go into the kind of Motherwell game soon, but that's us now kind of 12 games into this league season. And for the life of me, I was thinking earlier, I'm thinking, has there been a game that was the majority of the game was a complete performance that I was happy with, that I was going, right, that's the Celtic we know, that's the level that we expect, that's the level we know this team's capable of. I've not seen that. I've not seen that whatsoever, and it's not as if we're 1 or 2 games into the season. We've now played 12 competitive games this season, and for to play 12 competitive games and know to see a performance that you think is capable of kind of winning the trophies that we usually compete for, I think it's slightly concerning for me for this season. I think that we need to quickly up this performance, because I've said a number of times on here, yeah, the results are great, fantastic. It's all about 3 points and progression. But you get to a point, and that was the fruits of it last night. You get to a point that bad performances lead to bad results. It's only a matter of time. It's a fact. It's only a matter of time that the chickens come home to roost, that it catches up with you, whatever expression they like to use. If you continue to play at that level, then you will drop points. You will drop points. It's a mathematical certainty. It will happen. So I'm thinking as well. Is there a game? Your thoughts on that? And is there a game that you thought this season that this is the level that Celtic should be playing at? This is the performance that we want to see. I'm not so sure, Mark.
No, there's not been a game for me that I've seen what's happening just now. And it is concerning because it is early in the season. There's no signs of it kind of going the right way either. I know there's new players coming in. I know that some players are out of form. So in theory, players can come back into form. The new signings could elevate that, come into form. Balawisha, for example, might just take a wee bit of time to come into the team and then perform. So there's things like that. And the only kind of saving grace at the moment for me is that Rodgers' first season back, there was a time when he went through, although that was a lot of injuries and key players, that they kind of lost their way, and it looked like we could have spiraled that season as well. And this is but that was halfway through the season. We made a good start to that season. We got the points on the board, a lot of good away victories. And then we had our kind of tough period through the Christmas period to January, February, and we did pull it together. And that's where I've got a bit of faith. There's players and the manager there that have been through that before and can. They do have. I'm not one to. I want to give credit to players. I don't want to burn players straight away, and that's where I don't want players dropped and reactionary. To give them a bit of benefit because they've been there before and done that. However, the start to the season is a concern because that season we started that season well, then we hit a patch, and then we struggled, and then we had a couple of signings in January and we pulled it together with our key players coming back hungry and focused. Whereas I don't see the hunger, I don't see the focus, and I'm not going to say that Callum McGregor isn't hungry and focused because he is. He's a phenomenal competitor. And he's been resilient for so long, but is it that time? Is it just, as you say, just the perfect storm? Him coming to the end, really struggling, and doing things like that. So yeah, it's to kind of weigh it all up and see where we are with it.
I'll read a few comments out just for there was a comment out this pod ever read out comments. Well, I'm on myself with Mark, so I'm trying to multitask here, square sausage. So I apologise if I'm not getting to quick enough. I'm trying to put some on. So there's one right on my way for Chinese in Malibu. Have a superb night. Thank you very much. Get a grip. I've Chinese in Malibu. I'm not a kind of Malibu guy, but I might have a wee Chinese myself tonight. You're into Space Raiders, is Mick. Oh no!
Well, Gi's a question, Mick.
Somebody gives a question. I'll put it up right away. As long as it's kind of PG. I'm not having kind of what does Ryan got up to in the 10:30 show. That's not going on the screen. So gives a question, but I will touch upon. We'll wait a wee second, but we're going to obviously touch upon the Motherwell game. That's at Sunday 3 o'clock kickoff at Celtic Park. We're still, as far as I'm aware, the protests are still postponed until the results on Monday. So we're looking at kind of Monday as well. Like we want something positive, but Sunday first of all, we need a result. Where do we go? Right, where do we go from here? There's Typhoon. I was once similar to that before. Where do we go from here? Mark, I'll let you answer that first because that's like how long a bit of string.
The Motherwell game. So that's all. It's the old adage in football, and at the next game, but It's Motherwell will be a tough test. They've started the season well, and I've only seen them once, but they're playing quite a nice brand of football. They're possession based. They play out for the back, and they've got good couple of good players. That they dominated the midfield in the game that I watched. So it'll be interesting to see who we play, what personnel that we have, and how we approach the game. Because every game is big now. We've put ourselves under this pressure, so we can't let any more points slip in the league, especially at home. And Motherwell would be seen normally as a routine home victory, and I don't see it that way at the moment. I would expect to win still, but I think it'll be difficult. So just with the way that we're playing, but then it's a chance for the players to get another game under their belt and show us a bit more. The Hibs performance wasn't terrible. It just lacked the goals and the creativity. So if you replicate that and get the goals and maybe get a bit of confidence throughout the team, then we can take it from there.
No, definitely, I agree. I think just now it's one game at a time and one performance at a time. I think we've been saying for a few games now that we need to step up this performance, and it's not really happened. So we just need to continue with that. We need to continue the hope and try and be positive that these performances are going to change. I think we have got enough quality there. We'll be at the top of the table come January. And we'll get more than enough quality there come January to be at the top of the table. Whether we play to that level that we know we're capable of, that's a different question altogether. It's up to the players and the manager now, and these players need to step up to the mark. We know that the majority of that team are capable of far better performances than they're producing at present. It's not acceptable for the kind of performances they're showing in the last few games. That is the part that's worrying. If we'd maybe been beat last night, but we'd still kind of put out a performance that you were going, right, we can see this improving here, we can see that we're starting to get up to the level we know, then that's maybe better to take, because you've got that confidence going into the next games, right? Well, we're coming up to this level, we're starting to kind of hit top gear here, but we're not producing any kind of performances yet, so aye, we'll be at the top of the table come January. Again, that's how long's a piece of string. I've got a bit of use in my pocket. Nobody knows. We should be, but aye. I think there was another one as well. A question: should we play three at the back after last night? For me personally, I like the fact that. I didn't expect it, but I like the fact if we can kind of mix it up a bit, and we've got a plan A, B, C, D, and we've got different formations and different tactics that we can use. I've seen Brent, I don't know about yourself, Mark, but I've seen Brendan as a kind of a stubborn manager, maybe, that he likes to, he knows the formation he likes, he knows the tactics he likes, knows he's got certain players that he likes, and if you're not within that, then you're not getting much game time. So for me personally, I would like to see us kind of mix it up a bit. If it's not working, you've got the choice of going for that three. I don't see there any reason, if we're coming up against a Motherwell at home or a Hibs at home, if we're failing to score, go three at the back and put that two up front, put as many forward players on as possible. So I don't know what you think about the back three. I think it will be predominantly, we'll go back to the normal formation, but I'd like that to be an option. Would you think, Mark?
Yeah, no, he changed last night. He went to three. For me, it did match up with him and give us a bit of opportunity. Although, as I said, it created a bit more risk for us. But they showed that he can do it. And obviously, we said actually getting into the midfield, KT, left centre back, that we've got the kind of personnel that we could do that. But for me, I know what you're saying when you're saying he's stubborn. But for me, he's just a manager that knows that his system works with the players, the right players. But that's the call that he's got to make in the next couple of weeks for me. Has he got the right players for his system to be effective? Anytime Rodgers' system hasn't been effective, it's because he's had players. So that first season, when we started struggling in December, it was because of like Yang and Mikey Johnson were in the wings. So that's where. So the system works. The system works with the players. So it's the same system we played against Bayern Munich, and we're able to compete against Bayern Munich and play brilliant in the Alliance. So the system works. It's just to see if the personnel is there for the system to work. And if it doesn't, and the players aren't there, then that's he's got to make a choice. He can't persist with a system with the players that are not good enough to execute it, and that's where he's got to change.
I think just now as well, I would say like a particular performance. So if it's no working that formation on that particular day, I would like that option that you can maybe change it up, surprise a team, and that's what I'm saying. They can have plan A, B, C, D. Afternoon either. But I just touching on the Motherwell game at the weekend as well. Obviously, you said there, Mark, that it's going to be a difficult game. Motherwell have started off the season really well. New manager, some new players as well. I've seen some highlights of them. I've seen one of their games against the other end of the city, and they look pretty well organised. And I think we will need to play well. We will need to put a performance in if we're going to get the 3 points on Sunday. I think it needs to be one of these games as a turning point. We need to have that game that we put in a performance, and then the fans start saying, right, this is the way we can play. Let's kick on for it. So I think it will be a difficult game. Just with any changes, Mark, we'll get to the kind of end of the podcast. So with any changes, everybody in the comments, feel free to put in their ideas of the lineups, etc. What's your thoughts, Mark? Will there be many changes? Who do you think Brendan will start with on Sunday? How will he line up?
Yeah, no, I think he'll go strong because it's the last game before the international break, isn't it? So I think he'll need to go strong because he can't take this game lightly, and he might have done that against Hibs a wee bit because he didn't go fully strong with the European game in mind, which I get, but it shows you he's just not got that squad at the moment that he can do that. So I would expect him to go strong. I think maybe the keeper will change maybe due to injury, but out with that, Donovan will be at right back, Tierney, Carter Vickers and Scales. You might play Sriracha right back. You mentioned that earlier on. I thought he might have done that last night. That's the only mix-up I'll think, just for strength to go full. And then his midfield will be McGregor, Hitati and Negren with Maeda, Iniacho and Tenetke. So, and if anything, to try and get continuity and get a bit of confidence in the side and get that good performance that might give us a wee bit of belief that the team can start kind of performing better.
No, definitely. I think you might be spot on. I think Sarasalo, when you're looking at if anybody's got news, if Brendan's interviews come out recently, if Sarasalo's if Casper's injured, if anybody could let us know. But I think it will be Sarasalo. I think the right back, I think you need to play Sriracha, and I don't think he'll drop Tierney. So I think it will be Sriracha, Carter Vickers, Scales, Tierney. I do believe I would like him to play McGregor, Hitati and Engels, but I agree with you. I think it will be Hitati, McGregor and Negren. And I think the front three will be the same. I think it'll be Maeda on the right, Tenetke and Kalechi if he's fit. He started looking a wee bit tired, I think, more into the game. But I think it's massively important that we get this win. And I think it's massively important that we put in some kind of performance. So I'm apprehensive, but slightly looking forward to the weekend. I think we need to kickstart this. Any last thoughts on the game, Mark, before we round this up?
I do think we'll get a response, and I think they will. Motherwell might help us as well because they're a team that do play it out, and they won't be completely backs to the wall as they normally are. So it might help us in that respect. And as the front three have not played a lot together. That's the second game that they've been playing as a start, so it's kind of building that up as well. And Negren, although he's in and out of games, I would still give a bit of time to, because again, Matt O'Reilly wasn't on fire when he arrived and had these spells of out the team and things like that. So these players can take a bit of time. But no, hopefully a good, nice 2 or 3-0 to get into an international break, get the rest, and then come back with a wee bit more focus.
Yeah, no, spot on, Mark. Here's hoping that with this wild weather at the weekend that we could kind of get a positive result, because I don't see there'll be any kind of sunshine or anything like that. So I just want to thank you for joining me today in this podcast, and I want to thank everybody that's tuned in. Some of the comments as well have been great. Got some of them up, so I hope everyone has a great weekend. I hope that obviously Celtic win, that makes it a lot better. But it's been a great afternoon. Thank you for joining me very much, Mark.
Pleasure, Alan, as always.
Yeah, no, and we will let you know on social media feeds when we're back next week. I'd suspect it probably Monday, but for everybody that's watching, a massive hail from me, and have a lovely weekend.
Sets up Larsson here. Larsson, oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura!